Picture this. You're outside playing with your brother or sister, just enjoying nature in your games, when you come across someone or something you've never seen before. Standing in front of you is an alien? A clown? A robot? You're not really sure. This is the story of the Sandown Clown. Hello, and welcome back to the Odds and Events podcast, unraveling the odd and investigating the eventful. I'm Lainey Langenberg with my co-hosts, Chris and Dalton. Say hi, Chris.
Hello.
Dalton.
Hello.
And Allie is not with us today. She actually took a flight on over to Sandown to go look for this guy. So she'll be back probably next episode. Whoo boy, do I have a tale to tell you guys today. I'm so excited. First of all, have you guys ever heard of the Sandown Clown?
Not at all.
We're about to get a little ooky spooky. Yeah, we're getting spooky with it today, guys. And this is honestly one of the strangest stories I've ever heard, and it's one of my favorites. We're going to be talking about clowns. Well, a clown. Maybe it's a clown. Maybe it's not.
Maybe an alien?
Maybe.
Maybe
So,
a robot.
How do you guys feel about clowns?
I never really minded them.
Yeah, I'm impartial. It depends on the context, you know? Like, at a party, great. Standing above me when I'm trying to sleep, nah, not so fun.
Not so much, no.
Yeah, do you know of any famous clowns, like off the top of your head? Can you think of any?
The one from The Simpsons?
Okay,
Krusty?
I didn't even think of, Krusty the Clown. That is one. Correct.
If we're going the scary route, It.
Yeah, also a very scary clown, interdimensional being thing.
Yeah, I know that's not his actual name. I know
But
the clown has an actual name, but yeah.
That's a whole other topic. You know, we've got Ronald McDonald, and who else? We got Bozo the Clown, very popular. Then we kind of get the spooky ones like John Wayne Gacy, and what is the clown in The Terrifier's name? I cannot think of his name.
Oh, God.
He's so scary.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about, too.
Art? Is it Art? I want to say it's Art.
Sounds familiar.
Art the Clown or something
I got
like that.
nothing for that one.
Okay.
Well, I bet you guys haven't heard of this clown, and it, he, they, she, is not like anything you've probably ever heard of before. So settle in and get ready to get spooked out.
Ooh.
Before we start, I just want to introduce my sources for today, which are Bufora and its journal in January-February of 1978, Wikipedia, and the UFO News Clipping Service. So this story takes place in the Isle of Wight at Lake Common, Sandown, UK in 1973. And I looked up where this actually is, and it's kind of like an island off of the mainland of England in the southwest kind of area, and Sandown is on the southern coast of this isle. Now, the Isle of Wight is not just some random place either. This area is actually pretty historically significant, believe it or not. It is the largest and second most populous island in England. Referred to as the island by residents, the Isle of Wight has resorts that have been popular holiday destinations since the Victorian time. So, this is a pretty well-known place. And the oldest records that gave a name for the Isle of Wight are from the Roman Empire. It was called Vectis or Vecta in Latin, and Ictus or Oictus in Greek. Then we have also in Old English Wit, W-I-H-T, and Old Welsh, I'm assuming it's pronounced Geoid. And Guth, like goose with a lisp, were recorded from Anglo-Saxon period. The Isle of Wight has been prominent in military strategies and for general tourism. Even Queen Victoria liked to vacation here. So this was a hip and happening place to be.
Okay.
So far we're kind of setting the scene, and Sandown,
I can already picture it.
Yeah. The bay that gives Sandown its name is an excellent example of a concordant coastline with 5 miles of well-developed tidal beaches stretching all the way from Shanklin to Culverdown due to longshore drift. This makes Sandown home to one of the longest unbroken beaches in the British Isles. So there's a lot of rural areas, but there's also populated areas. And with that little background, let's get into the weird stuff. I've been waiting for this. I'm so excited.
I love weird stuff.
Me too. Now, I picked this story because it is categorically so different from other alien UFO encounters I've ever come across. And again, I'm no expert. I'm no ufologist over here. I just know quite a lot about encounter stories, and I spend a lot of time reading alien stuff.
Crazy.
And this is one of the most bizarre I've ever read, and it's why we're talking about it today. So where's everybody at when we talk about believing in UFOs and aliens? What are we thinking?
Okay, so for me, like, mixed bag, right? So I find it highly unlikely that in a universe that's like ever expanding and infinite, that we're the only intelligent life.
I think that's fair.
But I also find it that in the incredible expanse of the universe, that any race that has developed like space travel has also discovered us. You know what I mean?
I also can agree with that.
But unlikely doesn't mean impossible. To put it short, I'm just saying that I'm skeptical but open-minded.
I think that's a perfectly okay place to be.
I will support everyone who wears a tinfoil hat. I got you guys. I'm here as well with that. I truly do believe, like, it's some
Well,
stuff
are
is
you
just too much
believing in, like, there's UFOs here right now, or, like, there's aliens here on Earth?
both.
Okay. I'm fair with that.
If anything, some things are too unexplicable. Some things do seem kind of outlandish, and some things are heavily inexplainable unless it falls into this category of this topic. And sure, I mean, call it not being able to just see it to believe it, but, you know, I think, one, it would be either A, cool, or B, terrifying if they did and were existing. So
I
think it would be both,
Yeah.
right?
yeah,
Because like people like to think of aliens as like, if they are here, or if they do exist, people like to think of them as like one thing, like good, bad, helpful, hurtful. But in reality, wouldn't they be very similar to us in terms of it, just people and individuals? So some of them might be here to be like, we're gonna do horrible experiments, and others are gonna be like, but we're here to give flowers.
Well,
you know.
let me tell you, there's a lot of thought processes in this that some people do think that there is different types of aliens. Like the Greys are more
Right.
of the ones who are like gonna probe you, and then you got the Nordics who are good. If you ever come across reptilians, apparently reptilians are bad. I mean, we can get into this. I want to do a lot more episodes, but I have to pace myself here so I don't suddenly make this all about UFOs podcast. My UFO, like Lainey's UFO hour. So
That's what your YouTube channel
that is what my YouTube channel is currently. You are correct. So I like both of your things. I really go back and forth because I don't know. I don't think we're good at keeping secrets too. Sometimes I have like a wooey woo theory that I also kind of take this from like Henry Zabrowski in last podcast on the left. I love that podcast, where like it might not be that it's a nuts and bolts UFO speaking, it is physically here, or like, you know, it's not physically here, but it is a manifestation that somehow they can get here. Because it is really hard. Like, space is really big. It's really hard to comprehend. And, like, when I start realizing it, like, when my brain starts, like, opening up its third eye or whatever, and then I get existential dread when I think about how big space is, because it's extremely hard for us to comprehend. It's very scary. So that's where I can maybe think of it, where, like, somehow they've gotten a projection or something here.
And that's also, and even that, like, talking about is difficult, right?
That's difficult to think about.
Like, for example, light year. You know,
We don't-
like people,
yeah, it doesn't make sense.
That's how long it takes light to travel.
So from the from the sun to the earth, it takes 8 minutes, and then there's some kind of science behind it that I can't remember off the top of my head that they calculated it to be a light year, because there gets to be a point where we can no longer, like, the numbers get way too big for us to say like years anymore.
Yeah, and so fun fact, I also really enjoy physics. So like as an example,
Chris would love physics.
Of course I do. So like as an example, like time is so linked to like space in terms of dimensions. Like all of them are kind of linked together. But so in other words, the faster you move, the faster you move through time. Like right now, we're all moving
Together.
through time at the rate of 1 hour per hour.
Yep.
But if even when we were going to the moon, as an example, NASA had to make calculations to account for like.
Because isn't the moon like a little bit behind in time with us or something?
It's more about like just the speed in which they would have to reach would kind of, and everything of that nature, as well as the distance and everything else, would kind of stretch it. So like their time is different than ours. So another prime example is if you were to travel at the speed of light and you were to go like 20 light years
To wherever,
away, and
yeah.
then 20 back. For you, that would be like 40 years, because
Yeah.
math. But for the people who are here, you would show up, come back
Younger,
faster,
right?
or younger. Yeah. So that there would be this weird time difference.
This hurts my brain.
Yeah. So what I'm trying to say is, when you're saying if they're projecting themselves, I'm like, okay, but
That's a whole other
how
thing
are they
to-
getting
yeah.
around
I don't
that?
know, man.
It would be almost
They're
easier
very
to
smart.
just make a ship.
I don't
That's
know,
true.
man. I'm not. This is why I got a degree in art and history and not in math. Because it really hurts my brain. Okay.
Yeah, I find it fascinating.
It is fascinating. It's just, it's like my brain, I cannot get all the way there. Or if I do start to get it, then all of a sudden my brain is like, you better panic right now.
Oh
Have a
yeah.
panic attack.
I want to preface this that I like physics, but I am not a physicist.
Okay.
Despite what I said last episode.
Oh yeah, you guys all said, what the hell? Wait, so are you a nuclear physicist or not?
Well, it depends on the day,
Oh
really.
my God. That's your weekend job?
So, yeah, exactly. I just kind of pick up a shift here and there at CERN.
All right. Well, good to know. I'm glad we're all kind of like on the same-ish page. I don't know. I go a lot back and forth. I do think there is life. I couldn't tell you if it's intelligent. And I think if it is intelligent, there's this like civilization ranking. And basically we don't even make the ranking yet. We're not advanced enough. And like I kind of sometimes think aliens might think of us as like, a bunch of territorial apes, and they might want to like look at us. But like I also think maybe they think we're in like Earth is like a bad neighborhood, and they're like, all right, let's stop, let's juice up, gas up the vehicle, get your little
Keep
snacks,
your windows
keep
rolled
the
up.
windows rolled up, let's get the hell out of here as fast as we can.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think that. So I don't know. Because I feel like we're not the nicest species.
Oh, God, no.
Well,
going back to the territorial apes
we
thing.
are, yeah.
Yeah. It's just kind of like the countries where you see, like, monkeys, and they'll come up to you, and, like, you can pet them and feed them and whatnot, but they'll steal from you.
That's us. Or, like, I think one time for one period of my life, I was super into, like, watching NASA documentaries, and I think it was Neil deGrasse Tyson who was like, think of it as you're walking on the sidewalk, and there's ants also living on the sidewalk. And you might be aware that the ants are there, but they don't really, like, pertain to your life, so you kind of just ignore them,
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I think maybe we're the ants, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So maybe,
absolutely.
like, because what would they want with us? We're just these little guys hanging out, and we can't even leave our solar system. We're not that impressive.
Yeah, it could be just
Not
like,
yet.
oh, they're cute. They're learning how to use tools.
Yeah.
Aw.
God,
Yeah.
I hope I love the theory that they're, like, watching over us to protect us. Please, aliens, don't let us destroy Earth. Please come save us.
Well, it would be more likely they're watching over us for, like, a school project.
Oh, I could see that. And and whoever's school project, they're getting an F.
I was gonna say this is the theory of the C- theory. It's like, really?
Yeah, they're failing. Sorry, alien.
Sorry, alien.
Okay.
We're not doing great here. Our
So
bad.
back to the actual events. I found it really interesting that apparently the father of these kids that this happened to also had some strange encounters of his own a few years before his kids did. And now I can't say if these are related at all, but it is something to take into consideration nonetheless. And maybe it's just that this area could have somewhat of a could be some sort of a high strangeness hotspot. And you may be asking, what is high strangeness? The term is first coined by our boy, J. Allen Hynek. We love him. In his 1972 book, The UFO Experience, which was specifically in terms of alien encounters, but now it's kind of taken on a more broad explanation, just in the paranormal realm, and it means a quality of being peculiar, bizarre, or utterly absurd in the paranormal world in general now. So it's not just a reference to UFOs or in aliens anymore. And if you have any questions, guys, please, like, stop and ask, because I know I'm so deep into all this alien stuff that I might say something, and you're like, excuse me, what's a flap? I don't know what a flap is.
I mean, I don't know what a flap is.
Well, don't worry, we're gonna get to it.
Ooh, okay. So I will know what a flap
curious
is.
to how this relates all to a clip.
I know, right?
I'm setting the scene, guys.
Anticipation is killing me.
And again, you could think of this in a few different ways. This is the way I think a lot of people in the UFO world attribute it to aliens. So I'm going to be reading the excerpts. So. Yeah, I'm going to be reading the excerpts directly from the Bufora Journal. Bufora being the British UFO Research Association, but that's a lot of words, so they just call themselves Bufora. And it takes place, Mr. Y, he's using an alias here. He actually helps some people from Bufora go around and take other people's experiences or sightings or whatever and record them basically for this association. And I also want to say Bufora, I took this right from their website, like a little about who they are. So this is exactly what it says. Bufora is a non-cultist and scientifically evaluative organization since its formation in 1962, when a number of UFO research organizations and individuals formed with an inaugural meeting at Kensington, London. These included societies such as the British Flying Saucer Bureau and the London UFO Research Organization, early magazine providers, and individual investigators. Bufora adopts an open and analytical view to all cases and report categories and continues to explore the UFO phenomenon with an open mind, with no belief systems or exclusive theories in its continuing investigations. There was a lot more, but I just condensed it down to like what need to know, but that's what they're about.
Okay, so wait, why the word non-cultist?
I don't know. That's what they...
That sounds...
I think...
That sounds like they kind of are. It's just like, hey, we're not a cult.
Honestly, I feel like Move On's a little bit more culty, but that's my own personal experience. Please don't hate me, Move On, but I do have a little bit of beef with you. Anyways. I just don't want to pay. I'm poor. I can't be a Move On person. Anyways, so this all starts Tuesday, October 20th, 1970. Around 7 p.m., Mr. Y was driving from Shanklin to Ryde via Seaview to see a friend. He's passing through the village of Brading, I want to say it's called. I hope I'm pronouncing all of these British names right, so I apologize any of our English or British viewers. So he turned right onto St. Helens Street, and then he became aware of a large multi-lit aircraft to his right, about a halfway between the road and Bembridge Downs. It looked enormous as it flew low over the swampy terrain. He stopped the car and watched. The object hovered apparently aimlessly over the swampy margins of the River Yar. A wide ring of 7 or more lights could be seen, each of them a large and clearly defined sphere, like a bright red cherry, and interspersed with a turquoise and a white light. No sound could be heard. Our witness drove on and the object flew parallel. Once outside St. Helens, it cut across about 300 yards behind him and dropped slowly, meandering above distant hedges, now appearing smaller with the number of red lights reduced to 4, which seemed to rotate slowly. Mr. Y again stopped and this time used his torch to signal for some 10 minutes, during which time the object weaved backwards and forwards without settling.
That's kind of creepy.
It's really creepy. And before we even go further, do you guys think you've ever seen a UFO?
No.
No?
I've never seen one.
I did, but I then realized when I was older that I was actually looking at an airplane. I saw the blinking dots in the sky.
It was generally a UFO to you in that time, as in you didn't know.
Yeah, it was an unidentified flying object.
Yeah, it was. You just didn't identify it at the time.
Yeah, so I was like, oh my god, aliens. And then 2 years later,
as you got older,
I was like, oh no, it was an airplane. It was an airplane.
I've never seen one. I desperately want something spooky to happen to me, but I think I want it too bad.
Yeah, that's why they stay away. All the ghosts, all the aliens, everything is no.
Okay, well, if we're talking ghosts, I've had some weird things happen, but we'll save that for a little ghosty episode. Ooh. But yeah, the aliens, no, I want it too bad. I saw Starlink once, and for 1 second, I was like, it's my time, and then I realized it was Starlink, and I was sad.
They'll just be like, girl, you too desperate.
I am too desperate. They were like, ew, girl, play a little hard to get. Jeez. And I got lights and signs on my roof being like, aliens, stop here.
You're the pick-me girl for aliens.
Literally me. I'm like, please, I just want something spooky to happen, but not in the sense that I get probed. They can have my eggs. I'm not using them. They can have them. They're bargain bin eggs, but, fine, I'll be your friend. I'll give you a couple of my eggs.
I mean,
and then we go on.
probing's not that bad, Sure.
I guess. I've already had 3 colonoscopies in my life.
Exactly. You've been there. Yeah.
I've been there, basically, just humans. Okay, I guess. I'll revise that. Maybe they could put me to sleep at least.
Right. Give you some anesthetic.
Yeah, that would be nice, I guess. Okay, I've revised it. You can probe me.
Now they'll show up. The whole reason
Maybe
they
now.
were.
That was what they were waiting for.
They were like, no probing, no deal.
Okay. He then continued on to his appointment. When he reached his destination, the red lights were still there, and he left his own rear lights on to face the object. Coming out of his house, his friend could see the thing also, playing kind of like hide and seek between the treetops. As he continued to ride, the lights were lost to view and our witness saw them no more. And apparently on several other occasions, like leading up to our actual story for the day, he kept kind of seeing these weird single balls of red light in the sky, which would just kind of hang around in the sky, maybe follow him a little bit. And then we finally get to, well, when his kids finally decide to tell him what happens in 1973. Like, he and the whole time, by the way, he never said any of this, like, his encounters to his kids. Because it would immediately make me think, like, oh, this kind of idea is already planted in their mind. And kids, as we know, are really susceptible, and they want to, like, they really look up to your parents. So, like, if dad experiences this, maybe I should too, you know, kind of a thing.
Right. Like,
so
impressionable.
They're really impressionable, and I could see this as, I don't know, some way of bonding, or just something that, because kids are weird.
Yeah, it's one of those things, like, if your dad has been like, hey, I saw an alien, you know, like in the woods, and then, like, the next day
wouldn't you
be
looking for an alien too,
yeah,
then?
exactly. And then you'd be like, oh, I saw it too, Dad. We're, like, connected now.
You love me more now.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Something like that. So I do find that compelling, at least, that he says, again, he could be lying, that he doesn't tell his 7-year-old daughter about anything that has happened until one day she comes to him. And again, too, I fully accept that there could be some logical explanations of whatever he saw.
Sure. But it's fun to entertain.
And, yeah, it's so fun to entertain. Right. I love me a good alien story, you know? Yeah, I think, and while I do love all this stuff, I do think it's important to also be looking for logical explanations. And again, while it's boring, I fully believe in Occam's razor, which means the simplest answer is usually the correct answer. I don't know about you guys. Like, it's so boring and lame, but yes.
Yeah, usually it's logic, but it's really fun to think of aliens.
It is fun. So that's what I'll give to humans. We're really imaginative. So let's get on to what we've all been waiting for. We're gonna meet this freaking clown.
Oh boy.
Again, I'm gonna be reading just the direct what happened from the Bufora journal.
Okay.
So everybody settle down. Here we go. Faye, or so we shall call her, was near Lake Common, Sandown, on a Tuesday afternoon about 4 o'clock with a boy about her own age when they both heard a weird wailing noise, not unlike an ambulance siren. They followed it across the Gulf Links and through a hedge leading to a swampy meadow adjacent to the little-used Sandown Airport. The noise ceased. As they were crossing a wooden footbridge over a narrow brook, a blue-gloved hand appeared from under the bridge and a strange figure emerged. The figure fumbled with the book, dropped it in the water, then splashed about to retrieve it. The two then watched the figure enter a metallic hut similar to those used on building sites, except that it had no windows. It moved along with a strange hopping motion with its knees raised high. The children wandered off and were over 50 yards away when the figure, which will now be referred to as he, reappeared, carrying a black-knobbed microphone with a white flex attached. So, what are you thinking, first of all? Just this initial starting of the story.
So far, just a really weird homeless dude.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I it's incredibly detailed. You know what I mean?
It is. It is very detailed already, and it's gonna get more detailed. It's very weird. I immediately, when I hear this, I'm like, oh, stranger danger.
Yeah.
Like, of course.
For real.
It's not until we start to get on, you're gonna be like, excuse me? What are you thinking, Dalton?
Honestly, I don't know. It sounds...
It's just kind of weird, but it could just be a weird guy.
It sounds like it, but the building with no windows, sure. Okay, that's kind of interesting, but at the same time, like, tons of sheds have that. Like, you don't really need windows in a shed, but... It doesn't
have to... Like, right now, it could be run-of-the-mill anything, not
it could just be
it just sounds like
creepy dude hopping around.
Yeah, the hopping's weird, but maybe he's, like, on drugs.
True. You know, if drugs are a part of this story at any point, like, I could see that. But I
yeah.
But, no, if anything, it just seems surreal. Like, it seems strange. Yeah. If anything, I have seen weirder, personally.
Yeah.
But...
Oh, no. It starts off, I would say, normal, but just hold on to your butts,
okay.
boys. Oh, it's about to get weird.
Helded?
Okay, good. Held? Yeah,
Helded.
but held.
Helded.
Okay. So, The wailing noise immediately returned, this time being so loud that the boy was scared and he actually began to run away. Then the noise stopped again, and he spoke into the microphone, and although so far off, the children could hear his voice as clearly as though he were right near them. "Hello? Are you still there?" he asked. And in a response to what sounded like a friendly tone, they ventured close enough to speak to the oddly attired person. He was nearly 7 feet tall and had no neck, for his head appeared to be wedged straight onto his shoulders. He wore a yellow pointed hat which interlocked with the red collar of a green tunic. A round, black knob was affixed to the top of his hat, and wooden antennae were attached to either side. The face had triangular markings for eyes, a brown square for a nose, and motionless yellow lips. Other round markings were on his paper-white cheeks, and a fringe of red hair fell onto his forehead. Wooden slats protruded from his sleeves and from below his white trousers.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
it's starting to get weird.
Yeah, the microphone,
So,
maybe a translation
he's got no
device. Yeah, no neck, triangle eyes, square nose.
It could be.
Yeah.
And again, this is, right now it's not totally telling the full story, but, like, it's literally, quite literally looks like it's painted onto him. Like, all of these markings.
Wow.
As if almost toy-like.
Wow, crazy. Okay.
I mean,
And again,
good makeup job.
yeah, this is getting weird. I mean, I guess. I don't know how good I don't know. I don't know what they had. I don't know what they had over there in England. Maybelline or, I don't know, L'Oreal.
Maybe it's maybe it's an alien. Maybe it's Maybelline.
Literally. So, it's getting weird right now. Okay, get ready. I gotta keep moving forward because it just keeps getting weirder. So, he wrote in a notebook, the one he had in a large hand, "Hello," and "I am all colors. Sam." The boy was hesitant, but Faye read each word as it was pointed to. This was necessary because the words were not laid out in conventional sequence, so they weren't reading from left to right, but just randomly it was written all over the page. The children ventured closer and discovered that the creature could talk without the aid of a microphone, though his lips did not move, and speech was unclear, rather like that of a person who does not open his mouth properly.
This clown also deals with ventriloquy, or as ventriloquist, or like.
Maybe.
So like, let me get something really quick. So this guy, or this thing, like, in all colors. Did he draw it in all colors, or was it?
No, I think he
like,
wrote
did he
it.
take out a specific pen, write one letter, then another one, or was it all at once?
What I take from it is, he's got his little notebook, whatever, and he's just kind of writing words all over the place, and I don't know if they all are being communicated to her. Like, he might circle a word, or he might point to a word, and, like, connect the sentence. But he did physically, from what it sounds like, say hello, and then also wrote, "I am all colors, comma, Sam," or maybe there's no comma. There's probably no comma. I don't know.
So
I don't know if he knows
wrote,
grammar
"I
and
am
stuff.
all colors" in all colors.
He wrote. No, I'm assuming he wrote it in like a pencil.
Yeah,
or something.
it's saying "I am," and imagine saying "all colors" is his name.
Maybe, but he also says Sam.
Yeah.
So I don't know who the hell Sam
Well,
is.
color
it's more
Sam.
like-
Hey man, I'm not gonna argue with
That's
him
his-
if you got his moniker.
I mean, he is pretty colorful, right?
He is quite colorful, but yes, he just writes, "I am all colors, Sam." I don't know, maybe he doesn't have the same amount of color perceptive cones in his eyeballs. Maybe he has more. I don't know.
Ooh.
Actually, we humans,
We're,
we're missing
we're
out.
so limited.
We are extremely actually limited in the range of colors we can see because we only have like, what is it, 3 or 4
I think it's
receptors?
4. It's either 4 or 6, and
But there's like so
There's,
much
like,
more that we could be able to see if we had more
like the
color receptors.
mantis shrimp as an example.
Is that the one can see?
Like
really
I think
good?
has like 32 or 64. Oh, it's crazy. Fun fact: when you look at the color pink, it's not pink. It's
What?
Yeah. So that's
That's like my favorite.
so that's
color.
the infrared spectrum, and so our eyes can't like understand what it is. So that's what our brain fills in for the color. Like it's like a wavelength that we can't actually see.
Me sitting in my all pink
I mean,
office.
you
and
So
literally-
they
I
that's
got pink heads.
Lainey,
That's
you
why
are
the
literally
aliens
pink
stay away.
possibly.
Literally, possibly. Oh my god.
Perfect. So
Oh my
Like-
god. Wait, I love that. I did that when I was like 17. I didn't even know
You know
it.
what's cool is that's probably why the aliens stay away from you. Because they look at your
What if
room,
my color is harmful
or they look
something?
at your room and they're like, oh my god, that's horrible design. Why would she choose
They're
these
like,
colors?
God, idiot.
Essentially, it's
Interior
like the
design.
aspect of like when they filmed the Addams Family. To get those specific shades of dark gray and like...
Oh, yeah, to get those specific shades, you have to do a bunch of different things. Yeah, no, I'm literally sitting here, my keyboard, my mouse, my
purple's
water
an
bottle I'm
artificial
drinking out
color.
of my chair.
You
What?
had to make purple.
But how did we get it before? Because it used to be really, really expensive.
But that's the
'cause it
thing,
was
it's
really,
not
really
natural.
hard to
Like,
get.
nothing's naturally purple.
What? No, that can't be
You're
true.
lying.
What
Like,
about
irises are purple. Well, I think you would call it indigo.
Yeah,
but,
I mean, indigo isn't
lavender.
purple, though.
but it's like all
Eh,
purple.
It's
like-
in that same color thing. I think at that point we're splitting hairs. Like,
I think it's we're getting
Right?
into
But no,
semantics.
like
I did go to school for colors, but purple's
But
fine.
like, specifically, like the purple we see even on our screen right here as it lighting up, that is an artificial purple. Like that's not existing in nature.
sure. Yeah. But I think there's like shades of like red that don't exist in nature.
I mean, there's
or
maroon.
green,
Oh,
you
no.
But-
know.
So, he asked the children about themselves, so they ventured to ask questions too. They asked about his clothes, which were all ripped, and he told them he only had one set, so he could only wear those. Because of his strange white features, they asked if he was really a man. The answer was a chuckled no. They also asked if he was a ghost. The vague reply was, well, not really, but I am in an odd sort of way. What are you then? They continued, but only obtained the answer, you know, without any further explanation. He also said he had no name. There were others like him, though, and he drew a rough sketch of one of them. He also confided that he was frightened of people and scared that they might hurt him. Apparently, if attacked, he would not fight back. And, you know, I find this part interesting. I think a lot of people think if there was some sort of alien that they might be hostile, right? And yet, here we are, and, you know, who's to say it's an alien? We have this, I guess, being, and again, who knows if he's telling the truth to these kids, saying that he's afraid of humans. And, I mean, to be fair, I think I would be too. Again, we've kind of said this. Humans are kind of assholes, and maybe he's just being gentle with them because he knew that these humans were
Children.
children.
Yeah.
So, you know, I don't know. I really couldn't say. That's just me guessing.
I do feel like
Yeah.
it's human nature to like really become violent towards something that unknown. Unfortunately, however,
Yes. I think it's just survival
yeah, but that's the
instincts
thing.
at that
When we
time.
are
You know?
when things are sent off like surveying or reconnaissance, like usually you go out and you're very peaceful. You don't actually like harm anything that's going on. You kind of just observe from afar. Or
Mhm.
if you do make contact, you're nice, you're welcoming, you're understanding, or at least trying to be. So like you give off this like peaceful aspect about yourself,
Mhm.
and
I could see that
Yeah.
too.
But if he's also saying that he won't fight back if is attacked, to me that also indicates that either it's a biological thing or, like you're talking about, Dalton, like a philosophy thing
It could
or a religious thing.
be. It also could be. I have no
That's
idea.
so cool.
Yeah, I can kind of agree to all that again because we don't know. We don't know if he's telling the truth. He could be lying to these kids. I don't know. And I guess we are thinking about this too. We're thinking on this of a human aspect because okay to take into consideration that we are always in a human perspective, basically, because we
Sure.
are humans. So I don't
You
know.
guys are.
I'm
oh.
well, our own resident alien.
Hello.
Hi, it's me. And at his invitation, the children crawled through a flap into his hut, which contained 2 levels.
Hey,
The
hey
lower
Lainey,
had plenty of what?
what's a flap?
Oh, actually, this is a completely different flap, but we can talk about it. This is just like a flap, like a doggy door, I'm assuming. I'm assuming, I don't know, like a mud flap, you know,
Right.
those things on like the backs of, that's what I'm assuming the flap is here. A UFO flap, we'll get into it. I know I wrote it somewhere, but I'll explain it now. So when there is the term, a flap happening, that means, I don't remember like the specific like length of time it has to be for it to be considered a flap. Maybe a year or 2. I'm not for sure on that, but a flap basically just means there is many UFO sightings, encounters happening within a certain area in a certain span of time.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Yes. Also, if you were a little kid would you be like, sure, I'll head into your little hut?
Yeah.
If you didn't do the whole stranger danger training, but I don't
I was
know.
also a brave kid, so I was all like, oh no, nothing bad could ever happen to me. I would be too...
Maybe would have.
I would have been too curious. Too curious.
Also, I feel like I'm an outlier because even as a child, I was, like, super into aliens. So I'd have been like, get a load of this alien. Like, I would have been like, oh, yeah.
Let's go. Yeah.
I mean,
no.
you said
I
that
would have
when
been
he
very
entered
excited.
his, like, shed-looking thing through the flap. There's 2 levels. Are we talking, like, Doctor Who level stuff here? Or are we talking, like...
I'll let me read ahead and we
Ooh,
can
okay.
figure that out. Okay, so the lower level had plenty of headroom and was wallpapered in blue, green, and covered with a pattern of dials. It also had an electric heater and simple wooden furniture. The upper level was less spacious and the floor was metallic. He told the children that he fed upon berries which he collected in the late afternoon. He didn't say where, but did indicate that he had a camp on the mainland he could go to. So to me, it kind of sounds like it's just a little hut.
Yeah. So what's fascinating to me about your description of this character and this place is, like, part of it is, like, futuristic and alien-y.
It does
and
kind
then
of give that
every
vibe.
once in a while, it's like, oh, in a wood furnace.
Yeah, no, there is some weird, like, it doesn't match up. But again, I don't know what kind of buildings there were in England in the 1970s. Like, maybe
Wait, in the
this is standard.
1970s? Like...
This is happening in 1973.
I mean, I would not assume it would be too drastically different than what we grew up in. Like, I feel like the similar materials.
I'm the baby of the group, so I don't know where you grew up.
I mean, just general, like, plaster and, like wooden homes. Like,
I'm assuming maybe the metallic is weird, but again, I don't
second
know.
flooring
I'm not...
does kind of be a little
Well,
off.
like, yeah.
The weird metallic floor, but maybe this is, like, some weird, I don't know, like, little... They said it was something for, like, it was used for... It looked like it was used for something around that area, so I don't know if it was, like, maybe abandoned and this thing,
Oh, I
like,
could see that.
took up
yeah.
residence in there kind of a thing.
I could see that.
So, I couldn't say for sure. And who's to say any of this is even real?
Right.
Who's to say...
It's not a fever dream or...
Well, and when I say real, too, I'm not just meaning, like, these kids made it up. I'm saying everything that is being projected.
Oh, let's say that it's like
is this being projected on?
Yeah,
them?
like
and none of it's
like
real.
a psychic, like, perception
Yeah.
filter where it's
Yes.
showing them something they can understand
Like,
versus...
That's what I was
Yeah.
about to say. Like, is this something that they're like, well, humans know what this looks like, so let's just, like, slap all this together so it, like, vaguely resembles something they have words to describe.
Got you. Okay, yeah, that's cool.
So
yeah.
that's one thought, and I love that thought. It's fun, and it's spooky, and it's spooky. He also said that the water from the river could be drunk once he had cleaned it. I don't know what that means either. I don't know how he's cleaning
Boiling,
it. I don't
most
think
likely.
those life straws
Brita
existed.
filters.
I also, I don't know when the Britas. Maybe he did have a Brita. I'm not sure. And again, once inside the hut, he actually removed his hat to reveal round white ears and sparse brown hair. And before eating a berry, he performed an odd conjuring trick. He placed the berry in his ear, thrust his head forward, and caused the berry to disappear and reappear at one of his odd eyes. Repeating the process, the berry traveled to his mouth. And maybe a possible explanation for this is he could have been wearing some sort of protective mask, and maybe he's, like, analyzing the berry to check that it's, like, edible. Again, this is starting to get, like, really, like, really fast.
Well, that's also the thing about, like, again, just going to if it's an alien biology, everyone just assumes that, like, every other creature will eat out of their talking hole.
And now, like,
Yeah.
in this, like, point of view is told by a child at this time, right?
Again.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and maybe they can't grasp what they're seeing, and they're just trying to verbalize it the best that they can.
It also could have been a magic trick.
Because again, it could have literally been
maybe.
a magic trick. Sleight of hand is, our brains and our eyeballs are very slow.
Oh, yeah.
Sleight of hand works so easily on us.
What a weird move for the alien to do. Like, hey, these kids are probably overwhelmed by, like, general thing.
Better do a magic trick.
Do a
Come
magic
back into
trick.
my weirdly metal house with wooden furniture. Here's a magic trick.
First of all, they're in this house with a stranger, but I kind of, at the same time, like, if he is trying to, like, entertain them or relax them kind of a thing, to be like, ooh, I'm goofy, look at me. Like, I don't know.
Maybe this thing...
I really don't know.
This thing doesn't eat berries, it eats confusion. So it just needs to, like, create confusion.
I mean, I don't know. Again, we're thinking of it in a really human or, like, mammalian way of eating, I guess I'd say. Because just like with a sponge, they're filter feeding. They're not eating. It could be something like that. I don't know. I don't know. But that's why I like love stories like this, because it's so weird and you're like, what? Like, I don't know. And again, is he just literally smashing berries all over his face? Or is there more to it? And again, the kids simply just don't have any other way to describe it. The children talked to the strange being for a half hour more. Then, after saying goodbye, they rushed across the golf links to tell the first man that they'd met that they'd seen a ghost, and he merely laughed. But the children were convinced of their experience and that the being was either a ghost or someone dressed up. And I guess I don't really, I don't know what it is, but back in the day, especially when, child abduction started being a thing, how many stories I've heard of people being like, I just met this really weird, strange man and it was scary, and then adults being like, nah, you're making it up.
And which is very interesting when you take a look at the history of kidnappings in London.
Could this be some strange attempted abduction of just a regular weird guy?
Yeah, but then, they would have been abducted, because they followed him to his home, so maybe he's working up the courage if it was a strange guy. But the part that is interesting to me is the kids are all like, we saw a ghost. And, because maybe aliens weren't super popular back then or whatever. But the guy himself even said, I'm not a ghost, but I'm in an odd way.
Yeah, and again, I kind of take that as, I don't know how to explain it really, but it's just the strangeness around this, again, the high strangeness around this entire story, I think is what is so interesting, because this is not your run-of-the-mill, oh, I saw a little gray alien, they took me aboard their very characteristically UFO that we know it as.
Yeah, the flying saucer. And whenever I hear alien stories and I'm like, wow, these aliens are sure acting pretty human.
Yeah, there's some things where again, I think part of it is that the UFO culture. So this goes into my whole sort of tulpa belief, if you know what a tulpa is.
Oh yeah, I know what it is.
Wait, just to double check, it's a tulpa is when you create something out of pure thought.
Yes,
you create a physical thing out of pure thought.
What's his name? Is it Freddy Krueger? Freddy Krueger is a tulpa. So, Faye told her father of her experience 3 weeks later on June 1973, and at first he found the story pretty unbelievable, but he was amazed by the detailed account and Faye's certainty as to its truth. She was really upset when he suggested that she made it up or invented it. And then he also talks to the boy, so I don't think it's his son. It's a little vague, but he found him not as easy to communicate with, though he did get a statement of him verifying that he also saw it. Apart from make-believe, other possibilities considered included a shared hallucination, which I think shared hallucinations are hard. Again, I'm not a professional, so I can't sit here and say one way or the other for sure.
I mean, they've been documented to happen. Shared psychosis is a thing. And they're definitely more likely with when you get people together who desperately want to connect or feel a part of each other. So one person starts hallucinating, do you see the spiders? Do you see the spiders? And the other person who wants to connect so hard will start seeing spiders.
Or again too, with children's imaginations, they're very powerful, And so part of me, it could be this, because I remember a kid at one point literally being like, oh my god, I'm hanging out with Scooby-Doo on the TV for real, and they're in the living room, but it was just me playing,
But imaginary friends too, the idea of an imaginary friend is common. A lot of children have this.
But I would say not the same.
But at the same time, imaginary friends aren't just oh hey, it was a really tall dude with blonde hair, blue eyes, and a good smile. No, this is usually this person had 8 arms. This person had a bow tie,
yeah,
they're with all colors.
Which could explain this, because he is almost toy-like looking, kind of.
Yeah.
Which
it could be.
Which is why parents would probably been nah, this is no worries, kid. This obviously isn't real. This isn't existing. What you described doesn't sound real. It's your imaginary friend. All right, go along, play in the yard, you know?
Yeah, I can't blame the dad or whoever else for immediately dismissing the kids,
some
'cause
random guy was like, freaking kids. Like, because I guess I think, too, okay, if this was my kid, and they said, hey, I just talked to somebody. One, I'd be out there lickety-split being like, who is talking to my child? Or it could have been a deliberate hoax by somebody. And there was such extraordinary amount of detail, however, which included the further point that apparently the creature clearly only had 3 fingers on each blue gloved hand and 3 toes on his bare white feet. So, like, she's still giving us even more here. And it feels very detailed. It feels weirdly detailed for a child. You know? And, like, why go to that trouble? But again, it could just be children having a good old laugh out in the swamps.
Well, also, like, a lot of people assume that children just don't give you detail. And I can only speak for myself, but most kids I've interacted with often give you too much detail.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's usually when people are like, oh, it's a kid, so they didn't give me much detail. That's when I doubt the story. But when they say the kid gave me too much detail, I'm like, I kind of believe it a little bit more. Because, again, my, like, nephews, I'll be like, oh, what are you doing? And then they'll tell me, like, 1,000 details that I didn't ask for.
And then, you know, even the guy, Mr. Y, the father, he kind of is wondering, too, if there is some connection to his own previous experiences. Because, again, he never explained, he never told his daughter any of that, as far as he says. And summing it up, he says, I get the impression that Faye was somehow taken into a bubble of alien reality created by the strange personage. He told them he had just made the hut. Also, Faye told me that while they were talking to this ghost, 2 workmen nearby were repairing a post, but they paid no attention to the weird charade, as though they could not see it. Well, ghost, spaceman, imagination, hoax, or hallucination, take your pick. Just a child's make-believe? Perhaps, but there are a number of unusual elements in this story, and it is very detailed. So, I think even this last bit here, kind of, one, I think either it's 2 kids playing, and they're playing make-believe, and having fun, and that's why they're not paying attention to them, because it's just 2 kids playing, and let them play. Because there's these added details, I'm like, but what if, like, because it does seem strange that they seemed to, almost as if they weren't there at all.
Going back to what you said, Occam's razor, imagination, play, got out of hand. That's, you know, the
Yes.
Occam's razor, the most simple thing, right. However, as mentioned, it is fun to theorize. I like to think this is an interdimensional being that was looking for something, like trying to understand, like the following the dad thing. Like, let's say it's connected, right? Was it trying to learn about humanity as much as it could? And then when it learned enough, it decided to, like, take a form, probably based off of, like, toys and things that it's seen, trying to approximate a human. And then decided to approach the children who are not violent that it knows of, and be like, okay, to learn more, and to be like, hey, I noticed that humans eat things, so I've been eating berries. You know, like, that's my headcanon.
Like, trying to look as human as possible.
Yeah, and knowing it's not successful. You know, like, I don't think it thinks, ha ha ha, I'm blending in.
Or, like, maybe just enough that the kids are like, okay, haha, like, this guy's a little weird, but, like, they know something is off.
Yeah, and like, it's all just a learning thing. And going back to I couldn't fight back. And I think that's just more of, like, it literally doesn't have the capability because it doesn't even know, like, how to fight.
Let me throw a wrench in that. Like, or what if it can't in general? Like, you can't fight because you can't fight it. Like, there's no way to fight it because it can't. Did it ever?
He did say he was scared of them.
Did it ever, like, make contact, like physical contact?
It never says, from what I can tell, it doesn't say he physically touched them, which could go back, you know, to, again, that he's not physically in the flesh there.
So we're even thinking projection. That's crazy.
Because he's in an odd way.
Again, that weird psychic projection or whatever you want to call it. I don't know even if any of this is real, but it could very well be a made-up story. But it's at least a fun story.
It is.
And, again, I think, too, he does mention he had, like, a base somewhere on the mainland England, so, like, huh? And he did mention there's others of us.
Ooh, what if that's where he's projecting from?
Could well be. Yeah.
Could very well be. I wish we knew, too, that apparently he constructed this hut. If I want the father so bad to be like, well, let's go look at this hut. You know?
Yeah,
like that would be if I was a parent, I'd be like, let's go take a look.
I was like, I want to see this. First off, I want to see this guy you've been talking to.
Yeah, first of all, let me talk to this guy.
And second, if what you're saying is true, like, I'm not going to pass up on that. I want to see.
No, I'm curious. One, I'm alarmed.
Yeah.
Two, I need to know what the hell's up if I got to get the rest of the neighborhood parents, like, pitchforks and torches kind of a thing.
Yeah.
But I just find it overall weird, and I love this weird aspect that something was happening that maybe other people couldn't see.
Oh, that's so cool.
And it almost to me lends to, and we're going to talk about this theory in another episode later on, and I don't even know if this counts, but have you ever heard of, like, the missing 411 phenomenon?
Oh, yeah.
Where it's like, and I don't know if this counts where, like, oh, I'm walking in the woods that I normally walk in, and then suddenly there's this path I've never seen before, so I take the path, and I'm in some very weird place that I've never been to, even though I know these woods really well.
And then
like,
I think I'm gone
weird...
for an hour, but then, like, it turns out I was gone for 2 months.
Yeah,
this
time
sounds
kind
very
of thing.
familiar
So I'm like,
to a specific scene.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm like, does that lend itself to this? I don't know. But just the bizarrity, is that a word?
Sure.
Sure.
It is now.
Bizarrity? The bizarrity, the high strangeness of this specifically, like, it is very rare, I find, to come across something this weird. This really weird.
Really weird. Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, when you told me your opening for this about it being a clown robot alien ? I was like, okay. And then you also threw in the word spooky, and I'm like, sold.
Wait a minute. Hold on a second. We haven't actually broached the topic of robot.
That's true. Yeah, hold on. Okay.
I don't know. Could this be some robot that they sent because they can't get here, so they sent the damn robot? I don't know.
Oh, and it said it's not alive. It's not a ghost, but it's in an odd way.
In an odd way.
Yeah, maybe it's just like, yeah, I'm a robot because but I am
not
being piloted from remotely.
So is this like the only time this kid ever saw this thing? Like, or did it go back?
Apparently.
So this kid never went back. It was like, hey, where's my pal?
It's a one-off.
He probably, the kid probably did go back. Let's be real, right? The kid went back, but it was probably gone.
Like, did he go back and the thing was gone? Like, is that how it went?
No, I don't know. It's not verified. But if I was a kid, I'm probably going back to play in the swamp anyways.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, putting myself into my, like, younger thing. If I saw something spooky in like, a place I played frequently, I wouldn't avoid that place forever. I would go back at some point, especially if the encounter wasn't scary.
It didn't seem, maybe a little scary at first, but it doesn't seem like overall they were, like, terrified of the thing.
It'd be interesting if there were, like, other sightings of this, too.
You lead me into my next thing here, that I did kind of look up, because I'm like, okay, what's going on around here? And looking it up, there was some strange sightings around this portion of England during this time. It's not a flap by any means.
I know what that means now.
Yay!
Yeah! It doesn't appear there's a flap. Granted, I know flaps are happening in the 70s, so they are happening. But I don't think it's happening in this time period. But I literally am looking through old newspaper clippings. And again, it was a limited thing. There could have been more, and they just didn't get it because I was looking through the UFO news clipping service, specifically for England in this time. And there was a few in the general area, mostly on mainland. I did come across a few specifically in the Isle of Wight from Archives for the Unexplained. It appeared that there were some sightings in the 1973 in the Isle of Wight area, so it's not like this is the only weird thing happening. And again, too, we see it with the dad, him being like, hey, I saw some pretty weird stuff, too, like, starting in the 70s. I don't know what it was, don't know if it's connected, but I saw something weird. So, like, it's not like it's just these children seeing it. And I think that, too, lends that there's, like, this thought process in just, like, the paranormal world in general that children can sense and see things adults cannot. They aren't, like, hardened to the world and how we're supposed to think.
If anything, it becomes more and more believable that a child saw something that was remarkably strange. However, it does bode into the realm of, is this reality? And And
Exactly.
that's always hard.
And I can't say.
Okay, I will. It didn't happen.
I want it to happen at this point. For some reason, I want
Actually,
to
same.
believe this
And
story.
here's the thing: I want to believe it too, and I am on the edge of believing it. There are some factors that do, and as I said, I do support the people of Tin Hats. I am on your side. Don't get me wrong. I'm here with you. I said this at the very beginning.
But I think it's totally fair to be like, wait, could it be this before that? Also, I never even did this, guys. Here is the cover image of the Bufora journal. This is what they drew of possibly what this guy looks like. Again, if you want to see this picture, you can click the link in the show notes to our Discord. This will be up in the chat for you to be able to look at and talk about with us. What do you think of that drawing? Isn't that weird?
It looks like he has a cape.
It kind of does. I don't know what he's got going on there. But again, for some reason, it's giving me a weird, toy-like appearance.
In the face specifically. If anything, it reminds me of, it reminds me of, actually, Japanese, Sentai.
I don't know what that is. And we have to remember, too, the eyes, the nose, the mouth, they're not blinking, they're not moving. They are quite literally, it seems, painted on this guy. So, I don't know. Maybe he is a weird robot. I don't know.
Or maybe it's a spirit possessing, a facsimile of a body.
I couldn't even tell you, but I just feel it makes me want to find more stories like this.
All right, well, let's go. Let's go there.
Okay, I'm working on it.
Well, that's why we have Allie right now out
That's
in the field.
that's right. That's why we had Allie.
Allie is currently searching for this thing, so hopefully she finds it.
Yeah, Allie's out doing the field work for us. She'll be back and see if she found the hut or something, or the main base even. That would be nice. But anyways, I just want to say thank you to my co-host for letting me yell all my, conspiracies at you. And thank you to the audience for listening. And if you have any topics you'd like to see covered or just hang out and chat with us, please send us a message on our Discord. Again, the link is in the show notes. If you want to hear even more of our voices, you can listen to the Patient Files wherever you listen to podcasts at, which is written and directed by our wonderful boys, Dalton and Chris. If you want to hear more of Allie again, you can go check her out at Wicked Encounters on YouTube and TikTok. And if you want to hear more of me and more UFOs, you can find me on YouTube at Pink Possibly. Thank you everybody for watching. Bye.
Bye.